In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a practice GIF in Photoshop. So go ahead and find a photo, any photo that you've taken, that you imagine you could add a little bit of animation to. All right, so you're just going to open it up in Photoshop, and I'm going to turn off the lock, click off the lock so I can make adjustments to this layer. And I'm going to imagine that the yarn comes to life and sort of wiggles around the frame here. So first of all, I'm going to use my brush because I'm going to be animating with my paintbrush here. And I want to pick a color that matches the yarn. So I'm going to click on the color foreground icon. And remember that if you hover your mouse outside of the color picker, you can actually click and select colors from the photo. So I'm going to click on a color that matches the yarn color and click OK. I'm now going to go up to my brush options here and find, I don't think I want it too like soft edge. I think I'm going to go sort of somewhere in here, but it just totally depends on your animation. Okay. So I am going to, here's my base layer. I'm going to duplicate this layer by dragging this to the new layer icon, that little plus down there. And now I'm going to do my first little segment of animation. So I'm going to imagine the yarn is coming off the edge of that crochet hook. Right, I've done a little bit. I'm going to duplicate that layer, draw a little bit more. And the more frames you have in your animation, the smoother it's going to look. I'm going to go a little bit quick in this demonstration just so that it doesn't take too much time. But basically, I'm just drawing a little bit, making sure I'm on that layer that I just drew on, that top layer, dragging it to the new layer icon, and doing it again. And you'll just repeat this process until your animation is complete. And it works well if you want to make this loop. So I'm going to go off the edge here so that if I'm imagining this GIF, it can kind of like come from starting off the frame and then going back to the crochet hook and vice versa. So I recommend doing that if that works for your animation. Okay, so now I have all my frames. I have 19 here, and that's an appropriate amount. Now we need to go to our animation timeline. So you're going to go up to Window, click on Timeline, and that will pop this window up here. Make sure that this is on Create Frame Animation, and then here here's a little tip that isn't self-explanatory. You actually have to click on Create Frame Animation to then start your timeline. Now you're going to go here, which is where all your options are for your animation for your frames, and you're going to say make frames from layers, and that's going to take all of the layers that I just created and put them in a time frame here. Notice this is on 0 seconds, which is going to go very, very quickly if I click on the play button. I'll just click play and see what it looks like. And so my yarn is wiggling about. Maybe a little too fast. You can click on the first frame and scroll all the way to the end, hold down the Shift key and click on the last frame, kind of like we do when we select images to open up in Photoshop, and then just change any of them to, let's see, I'm going to go to 0.2 seconds, so that makes all of them 0.2. I'm going to click play again. So that's maybe more what I'm thinking about. Okay. And so that's a little animated GIF. If I want this to loop, I'm going to stop this here. Going to go to my options again, and actually, sorry, I'm going to select all of them. So I'm going to go to frame 1, hold down Shift key, click on the last one, go here. I'm going to say copy frames, paste frames after selection. I copied, pasted them, and then reverse frames. Okay, now it will work. I'm going to go to frame 1, play, go off the edge, and then reverse. That's what I want to do. So that makes your GIF a little bit longer. it loops it. And so you don't have to do that, but I do recommend it. Your file size might be too big at this point, so let's make it smaller. I'm going to go to Image, Image Size, and we're going to make this resolution 150 and the width 6 by 4. GIFs don't have to be giant. Click OK, and that's going to make all the files a little bit large. I'm just going to do a Command 0 to put this in the frame. You can see it just looks the same, but it's a smaller file size. Now I will export it to turn it into a GIF. File, Export, Save for Web Legacy, and Save. And you can see it's going to call it Yarn GIF, making sure, let's see, I'll put it in the download so I can find it easily. And save. All right, so now when I go to my file management, I go to my downloads, I'll be able to find my GIF document, if I could just double click on it, and it's going to open it up in preview. So this is what you have to do. You actually have to open up your open up your GIF file in like a Chrome or Safari. So you can actually just drag it right into Chrome. I think it should do that. There it goes. And you can view your GIF. You can also turn GIFs into Google Classroom and you can see them do their thing. All right, get creative with this and have fun.